Pokemon Legends Arceus is looking to be one of the most incredible and best Pokemon games of all time. We've got even more leaks, and we've got data to show that people are freaking out about how great this game is. Let's dive in. Yo, whoa, what is going on YouTube? It's your boy Dan, aka aDrive. I bring you guys a brand new video today, and today we're diving into the world of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and we're gonna talk about a ton of different things, including new leaks regarding Pokeballs and map stuff, showing the maps, and as well as talking about the EV and IV system, which has been completely overhauled. And Pokemon Legends Arceus leaks may have actually helped the game, which is so conversely different than what BDSP had, because when BDSP leaked, people were freaking out about how bad things were. It seems the complete opposite is taking the place for Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I can tell you again, I am having a blast playing this game. This game is phenomenal. I think you guys are gonna be excited. So if you're on the fence, take a look at this video and show some love. Hit that like button down below, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new so you don't miss out on our epic Pokemon content. Without further ado, let's just dive in. Okay, so the first we're gonna look at is actually how the leaks may have helped Legends Arceus. This Twitter user, Dark Detective, reports on the fact that Arceus pre-orders at a Japanese retail chain increased 21% in a single Sunday because of the leaks. So people are seeing these leaks and they're more excited about the game than they were before. And I think that that's actually an incredible thing. And again, I kind of mentioned when BDSP leaked, a lot of people were disappointed. One, because the game wasn't finished and there needed to be a day one patch. But two, we recognized very quickly there was really nothing new about it. But with Arceus, there's so many secrets that we have yet to even find, and the game's not even out yet, which is pretty crazy stuff. So again, sales seem to be going through the roof, and I can tell you from my own experience, this is a game you want to pick up. Yes, a lot has changed for the Pokemon formula, but I feel like a lot of it is really, really good. We're gonna talk about one of the best changes later in this video that I think you guys are gonna really dig. But again, these sales numbers look really, really positive, destroying BDSP right now, and I have a feeling that Legends Arceus could go down in history as one of the best and most game-changing Pokemon games of all time, as it could be kind of a changing of the guard, a tide change for the franchise in a new direction that I personally feel is a very positive direction, and I'm not even kidding. So let's talk about one of those changes. We've got some new information from this user, Abby Zab, talking about IVs and EVs in the game. First things first, IVs are completely gone. We don't have IVs, and we actually don't have EVs either, but there's a new system called effort levels, and this is a really, really good system. So basically what happens is when you catch a Pokemon, every single stat has an effort level from 0 to 10. So if you guys don't know, IVs basically are 0 to 31. They vary on every stat. They're a hidden stat generally. And EVs are 0 to 252, where you can max out those stats and level up your Pokemon. And it's a really complicated system, and it really makes training kind of very unnecessary in the main series games and things like that. So they've simplified it in this game, and they brought back candies from Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which is really good. And they kind of hybridized this system to make the new system effort levels, which again go from 0 to 10, 10 being the highest, and you can actually max out your effort level for every single one of your 6 stats, which is really, really cool. The way you get these effort level points is through grit items, which you obtain from just playing through the game by beating alpha Pokemon and things of that nature. And some Pokemon will naturally come with higher effort levels on each stat, but you can specifically choose what you want to put effort into and put points into as you train up your Pokemon. And ultimately, there's no competitive for this game, but I really, really hope that they look at this model and this system and they adapt it to a future game, because again, the idea of these IVs and EVs, I can see IVs staying, right? Like I can see that because of breeding, but we don't need EVs anymore, guys. Like, there is no reason for us to have an EV system when it can be so simplified by using something like effort levels. And yes, it could change competitive Pokemon, but I think it would be a really positive change to allow for players to essentially have a much easier to understand, easier to function system moving forward. So again, I think it's important to emphasize that yes, Arceus took things away, right? We don't have abilities, we don't have held items, but at no point do I feel like that stuff is missing. And I do think they'll bring that stuff back in the future games, but maybe they can take some learnings from this game and kind of apply it to the next one. The next thing I want to talk about that I really didn't mention on the channel so far is the Pokeballs. Now, I can tell you guys that there's a handful of different Pokeballs, and as you progress through the game, you can actually obtain different ones through crafting recipes. So I'm gonna break them down for you guys here. So one of the first ones you get obviously is the Pokeball, and then you get a Great Ball, and then you get the Ultra Ball, right? Pretty standard stuff, Ultra Ball being kind of the best to capture things with. But then there's two other kind of categories of Pokeballs. You've got the Feather, wing and jet balls, which are the ones with the blue on them. They look really clean, the white and the blue. And those are basically Pokeballs that you can throw really, really far. They throw really, really fast, and they throw in a complete straight line, right? Whereas the Pokeball, Great Ball, and Ultra Balls kind of have a little bit of an arc to them. They can only be thrown so far. But those wing, jet, and feather balls, you throw them very, very far. And they're basically meant to catch Pokemon that are flying high up in the sky, that are kind of zooming around, harder to catch, things of that nature. And I'll tell you from experience, there are some really cool things in this game where you'll find like a flying Togetic floating around, or a Crobat really high up in a mountain, and the only way to get them is to legit sit under them and just start chucking these Pokeballs at them, because you can't actually get into a battle with them. You have to try to catch them this way. Really, really cool mechanic. The next kind of category of Pokeballs is the Heavy Ball, the Lead-In Ball, and the Gigatron Ball. Now, these all function very similarly, however, they get better as you go from Heavy to Lead-In to Gigatron. And the idea is you sneak up on an opposing Pokemon and you throw this ball, but you can only throw it a very short distance, and it has an incredibly high chance to capture. But you have to catch them unaware, you have to sneak up on them, and again, you have to like be very, very close to them essentially. And I feel like this is a really cool technique to catch some of the stronger Pokemon of the game if you can't fight them yet, but you have to do other things to do that. And the game has some really cool dynamics of putting down food that specific types of Pokemon like, so they'll be distracted, like using smoke and different types of distractions to be able to approach a Pokemon. Now, I'll be real, so far, I really haven't done any of that. I haven't done the distractions, and I haven't done any of the kind of food stuff, but it's a way that you can capture Pokemon, especially harder stuff, as you progress through the game. And I think it's a little bit more useful at the beginning of the game. Once you get later on, your Pokemon are strong enough to fight some of the bosses, and you can whittle them down and then ultimately catch them. But I really think that all of these mechanics create a super cool gameplay experience that people are really gonna dig, especially when it comes to challenge runs later. Keep an eye out on the channel for the Nuzlocke video that I'm gonna have coming up in the next day or so. That one's gonna be awesome. From there, there's two other types of Pokeballs. There's the Origin Ball and the Strange Ball. I'll be real, I don't know which one's which. I'm assuming the red one is the Origin Ball, and that's like a special Pokeball that you use, and the Strange Ball is the middle one. The red one kind of looks like a Cherish Ball. I'm not actually sure because I haven't gotten to that yet. So I again, have been avoiding story spoilers myself, so I don't know when you get to use those, but just something to note there. There's two other types of Pokeballs. And the next thing I want to take a look at in this video, very briefly, is the maps. And I want to emphasize that the way this game works is you essentially are in Jubilife, and I'll put the map of Jubilife here. And in Jubilife, you kind of walk around. There's no Pokemon really. There's quests, and there's like all sorts of cool stuff. Like you have a farm, you build out the farm by doing quests. You have, you know, a clothier, which you wear your clothes. You can build out that by doing quests. A lot of really cool things you can do in this town. And this is kind of your hub, and there's really no Pokemon there, with a few exceptions. Your pastures are there, whatever. Then you basically go to the guards, and you get to travel to one of the next locations. And as I know, there are 5 locations in the game. There's the Obsidian Fieldlands, which is the first one, which is right here. And as you can see, the Obsidian Fieldlands are kind of broken off in a handful of different ways. The water kind of works all the way around them. There's one of the lakes there, obviously, because you have the 3 lakes, Valor, Acuity, and I can't remember the last one right now off the top of my head, so don't get mad at me. So that one of the lakes is there. I don't know which one's which, obviously. I'm gonna be honest. But either way, so I will tell you guys from my experience, you could legitimately spend 5-10 hours just looking around one piece of the map. I'm not even kidding. And as you progress in the game, you can come back and do more things that you couldn't do before. These maps are huge. In fact, they almost feel a little overwhelming at times. So while this game is not the true open world experience and it's segmented into different maps, it's not a bad experience at all, guys. I feel like if it was all combined, it would be way too overwhelming. I feel like the fact that it's segmented off into these 5 sections is actually really positive. On the next map, we've actually got the Crimson Mirelands. This is a really cool place. It's got a lot of swamp and rocky terrain, and obviously another one of the lakes. You've got some water kind of flowing through the middle of it. Very, very cool. And again, the way you travel to these is once you get to that unlocked, you go back to Jubilife and then you travel to it. So you have those options. Then you've got the Cobalt Coastlands, which is obviously where that volcano shot is, but also a lot of water. Very expansive area of water and some really cool stuff. This is, again, a very diverse place. It's not as if you're just dropped off and there's just a bunch of water. Like, there's really cool aspects, and I don't want to spoil too much for people who are playing, but just know that each one of these maps has their own various different biomes and different things that you roll up on. It doesn't feel empty, first of all, and it doesn't feel boring. Like, I still get excited, keep continuing to visit these various things. Then you've got the Coronet Highlands, which is a lot of like super mountainous terrain that you'll have to use the climbing Pokemon for, and it's a lot of like vertical climbing and scaling. This is probably the least fun to try to traverse because of all the climbing and stuff, but the transportation methods in this game are very smooth, so it's really not too bad. And then last but not least is the Alabaster Icelands. I would say that this is probably my least favorite after the Highlands, just because, again, it's kind of tough to traverse with all the ice, but you will be able to kind of fly around and do things like that. And again, this is probably the least diverse of the ones. Like, there's some cool aspects to it, like some caves and stuff, but generally this one feels like the least diverse of the maps when you look at kind of all the different maps in their full picture. But again, ultimately some really, really cool stuff, and I'll tell you guys, like I said, it's almost overwhelming how much there is to explore in this game. You will not get bored exploring, that is for sure. So again, things are looking very, very good for Pokemon Legends Arceus, and in fact, I do think the leaks have ultimately helped the game in terms of sales. I think a lot of people are gonna get it now that the leaks have happened, and it makes you wonder, it kind of makes sense that Pokemon really doesn't seem to be going after people right now who are like posting gameplay and stuff. It's crazy. I've chosen to not post my own gameplay and things of that nature, but some people are just posting whatever, and Nintendo seems to not care. But again, I think it's gonna be a positive for them when all is said and done, as people are really, really liking this game. It is awesome. It is awesome. As a Pokemon fan, guys, like, I don't think I've had this much fun playing Pokemon, maybe ever. And I've been playing for 25 years. So take that however you wish, but a lot of good stuff here, guys. I hope you guys are excited. We're gonna keep the videos flowing, so like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let me know your thoughts. Again, so many great features about this game, and I'm 26 hours in, and again, I feel like I still am just starting to chip away at how much you can do. There's a lot you can do, and I feel like there is replayability, by the way, as well, which again, I have a cool video about that coming out soon. So thank you guys again for watching. My name is Dan. I also go by aDrive. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Pikachu.